Hello, everybody. You are now listening to the Overflow Podcast with Jay and Joaquin. Welcome to this week's episode of the Overflow Podcast. As always, I am your most humblest of apostles, Joaquin. And with me is our most humblest of bishop, pastor, reverend, rabble leader, Stapofino, and dime store Mark Anthony, Jay Soto. What up, brother?
Oh man, you gotta stop with that dime store Mark Anthony thing. Right now, my cheeks compared to his are too
full,
are too healthy.
You're like ta gordo.
Yo, Mark Anthony finally gained some weight. Finally.
Oh, finally. Stop doing the. I'm not even gonna say. Flaco. Say flaco.
Yeah.
Yo, we're here, ready to, I don't know, talk about all the nonsense that we like to talk about. We wasted a lot of time earlier talking because we got caught up with talking about the Aztec Batman.
Mexican Batman.
Mexican Batman. I'm gonna bring up Mexican Batman because it's apparently we're gonna throw it out there and we're gonna kind of keep it moving. Apparently on HBO Max they're gonna do a I guess it's like an Elseworlds really type story.
100% an Elseworlds story.
Of an Aztec Batman.
Yep.
Who runs around the jungles of Gotham, Mexico, and fights the conquistadors and rips the hearts out of his enemies. Like that's what the Aztecs did. Well,
actually, Aztec Batman won't be doing that, but Aztec Joker will.
Well, okay, yeah. Aztec Batman, right? I mean, Batman doesn't use a gun to kill, so Aztec Batman doesn't have to worry about that.
But like we saw, like images of what his costume would look like. I'm kind of feeling.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's a period piece, so the fact that he's an Aztec warrior fighting against the conquistadors, like I'm okay with that because it's a period piece. But I mean, I love all the Elseworld stories. I have not read an Elseworld story out of DC that I didn't like, especially Red Sun. Although I think Red Sun was Elseworlds, but if not, it'll stand on its own. Like
it was.
Superman.
I mean, my whole beef is where's Puerto Rican Batman or Dominican Batman or Cuban Batman? We need a Caribbean Batman. One of those three. You know, hey chico.
Oye, no está Batman.
Oye, mira, pero van a estar pasado.
Pero otra vez. Esta ciudad necesita aprender a defenderse solo, ¿verdad? Que yo no puedo.
¿Qué es lo que hay? ¿Qué es lo que?
Mi gente.
¿Qué es lo que, mi gente?
Mira, Joker, de
verdad.
Deja de chaval ya.
Ya, deja con esa vaina.
¿Qué te pasa, chico? Deja ya. Cada noche. En verdad. Ya me
estoy verdad.
Yo, but it's
that'd
supposed
be awesome.
Both of us having Max. We're looking forward to anything DC, like anything. Like I still haven't watched Crisis because I'm waiting for all of them, and it's becoming harder and harder. to hold on.
Yeah, I watched the first one. It was good. I thought it was interesting, but I kind of got mad because I was like, I need the next part. It's like when I watched the Spider-Verse movie, the sequel.
Yeah.
Right? I watched it. It was funny because I watched it with Mia and her then little boyfriend. and
Is he no longer the boyfriend?
no, and huh?
Huh?
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Off the air. And yo tengo ese chisme, que chismoso Batman.
Theo's happy. Theo's happy. No, Theo's sad. Theo's sad.
Chismoso Batman.
Yeah.
¿Sabes qué es lo que oí? Oh, when they ended it, Spider-Verse movie, the second one, when it ended it, I was so mad because it just
So-
kind of ends.
I have a confession. I tried watching the Spider-Verse sequel, and I found it to be boring. So
Really, I liked it, but the ending just it ticked me off, man.
I was so bored. I didn't finish it. I was bored. So I'll try again.
I enjoyed it.
But in other news,
So,
I
but anyway,
caved and put Anthony's PS5 in the living room
okay.
and reached out to him and I was like, yo, I need access to your account so I can play your games.
You mean you put your PS5? Like, Anthony, I need your code so I can do a complete reset.
No, because then I'll lose this game.
Bueno.
I just added myself and then he, like, of course, I mean, he gave me access. So I went to his account, opened up his game, family sharing, put myself in there, and now I can play Spider-Man, Miles Morales, God of War, the new Call of Duty, which I'm not really a big Call of Duty fan anymore, but like I want to play like Miles Morales and God of War, like those.
Right.
Yeah, I need to play Monico Spider-Man, and I need to play God of War.
Afro Puerto Rican,
Spider-Man?
Afro Latinx Spider-Man.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I find interesting? What I find interesting is that it's
I keep talking. I'm gonna disappear off screen for like a half second, then I'll be right back.
I need you here because I need to tell you what I found interesting. That it's Miles Morales, but his mom is Puerto Rican and his dad is black.
Right.
Right? So is that his stepdad? Are they not married?
Oh man, is his dad one of those guys that takes the wife's last name?
Oh my God, that's even worse. Right? Because
and he's a cop. Oh.
Hold on. I need to.
I'm out.
Go ahead. I need to do research. What's that? Okay. No, what's that? No, okay. No, okay. Okay, let me do this. I need to do research because I need to remember what
maybe his dad is half Dominican, but he doesn't acknowledge that side.
Right. So according to Wikipedia, Jefferson Davis is his father's name. Jefferson's the older brother of Aaron Davis, the whatever. Right? And he says here.
Okay. All right.
Miles Morales is a Brooklyn-born son of a black father and Puerto Rican mom. He's a proud Boricua and still speaks Spanish in the household with his mother. So, Miles Morales is here, right? Black dad, Puerto Rican mom. He has a Spanish last name, and his father's name is Davis.
So according to this, he didn't. Why does Miles Morales have a different name from his dad? He didn't want to give him his own father's name because there was a ton of baggage that came with that, with people thinking he'd be a criminal.
Yeah.
So
Miles.
Yeah, Miles.
Oh, yo, it's what you said. Presumably. Miles' dad originally had the surname Davis and later took the name Morales from his mom when they were married, dropping his original last name. It makes perfect sense that he'd do that, as his father is ashamed of his brother's criminal past.
There you go.
The Davis name, yeah, he officially changed his name to his wife's last name because the Davis name was associated with crime. And as a police officer, he wanted to distance himself from that name, particularly as he was a former employee of the Kingpin working undercover for S.H.I.E.L.D. So he took his wife's last name.
We have a word for that, but I'm not gonna say it.
Not on this podcast.
No. I'm gonna do a special podcast tomorrow, just me saying what he is.
Ain't what the special word is.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
So
anyway.
No, we're gonna stop because we'll be here for 8 hours in this rabbit hole, and
yeah. All right, whatever. He took his wife.
I know it's hilarious that in the animated, his mom, they speak Spanish. Yeah, they speak that New Yorican Spanish.
Well, yeah, I mean,
with that heavy accent.
Fun fact: Spider-Man, the first one, his mom was voiced by Rosie Perez, right? The second one, if you notice, it was a different actress.
I didn't
voice the mom. So yeah, because Rosie Perez has a strong
New Yorican
accent, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, more Rican than New York, right? The second one, it was by the actress Lauren Velez, who grew up in my neighborhood of Far Rockaway, whose mom worked with my mom at a school, who I also used to sing with.
And there's Jace Flex for the night,
who was on Dexter and New York Undercover.
And New York Undercover. That's when we fell in love with her. But all I'm saying is,
where's the twin sister? Whatever. She's from the 60s. She's from the 60s. So, yep, there's that. And that is my flex for this episode.
And that is Jay's flex. I flex.
Yo. Flex. My second flex. All right, my second flex. So, all over our feeds, like social media feeds, I don't watch MMA, but apparently Brian Ortega used to fight before, some stuff happened, had a full life change, by God. Like, he accepted the Lord into his life, changed his life for the Lord. And my second flex is that last year, while in LA, I met him when I went to visit Pastor Jeremy Johnson in Fearless Church. And apparently he won his last fight, gave all glory and honor to God, right? And yeah, I just thought he was like a dope guy. Like, we met, we talked. He was just super humble. Like, I was told that he was an MMA fighter or whatever, but I didn't know that he was like a professional MMA fighter, right? So when I saw that Jeremy Johnson posted all like the fight and his speech afterwards, where he thanked the Lord, he spoke about being born again, and if not for that, who knows where his life would be. And he thanked the church, Fearless Church, and he thanked his pastor, Jeremy Johnson. I was like, dude, I remember talking to this guy. Like, okay. Right.
Jay was like, man, I remember talking to this guy and thinking to myself, I think I could take him.
But the deal is, no, because Jeremy told me, yeah, he's an MMA fighter. I'm glad he's on Team Jesus.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I'm
glad he's on Team Jesus. But it's just, like Joaquin and I were talking. It's interesting to see that there is everybody's talking about, oh, we need revival, we need revival. There seems to be a revival happening,
right,
in these circles, in these mediums of fighters, actors, singers, celebrities. Right, a couple of weeks ago we talked about
Russell Brand.
Thank you. I drew a blank on his name. Russell
right.
Brand, and how he is
seeking. He's seeking Jesus. He's seeking God.
But he specifically said he's seeking a personal relationship with God. Right. It's interesting because what I love about this revival in this area is how it's coming now, really separated, right? Really separated from Kanye.
Right.
And Kanye had us all fooled. Or maybe not fooled, right? Who am I to say? Maybe in the beginning, things were real, and then without having discipleship and accountability,
right? Without having a shepherd, that sheep got lost,
right? Right, but it's separated, right? It's a lot of years passed since all that, and now things are happening.
Right. So you got the MMA fighter, Daddy Yankee.
Right.
I sent the guys a video clip from like a Christian music Instagram, like Spanish Christian music. And it was there's this reggaeton artist named Anuel AA or I don't know, double A, whatever. But he's pretty big. He's got some big hits, and he's at this, looks like it's a church service. He's got these pastors praying for him, or praying over him, or praying over for him. But the two things
the overflow for him.
They're playing the overflow for him. And I sent it to the guys because I was like, right? Because you had Faruko was kind of the first guy, and I honestly didn't know who he was until only because of Joel. And that Pepa song was popping, and I have a 16-year-old, so I would hear it because she was listening to it, and so I was like, oh, that's that guy, and then it's like, oh wait,
what? Turn that song off.
What? That way he's like, yeah, I'm no longer doing that song because blah blah. I was like, then Daddy Yankee. So who knows, right? And who knows what else is going. So I think this thing is interesting how there seems to be, that Jay was saying, this is undercurrent, right, of God moving in these spaces that Christians have been wanting to get into to quote unquote evangelize, but
what was that?
I mean, am I wrong?
No,
I air quoted evangelize.
I don't know what you do with your hands or whatever, but when you did, like confetti filled the screen.
Oh, okay.
Like, what?
Skype agrees.
What is that?
Skype agrees with me. Oh man, my brain locked up again. Yes, undercurrent, people coming to Jesus. With like Angel Studios cracking into that space, right? They got a movie coming out, Cabrini, about this nun who did some amazing work in New York. With the fatherless, right? So I think that we need to really, as believers, we need to be prayerful that we are also moving within that spirit in our local level.
Right.
Right. Because there's a lot, as much as because it's funny, because it's as much as we see stuff with the American church is dying or it's losing members, but then there's this undercurrent that is strengthening up the American church. along with the stuff that we've seen. Me and Jay have sent videos to each other on, thousands and thousands, right? In India, in Pakistan, right? In Africa, just
in Iraq and Iran, where they're having dreams,
coming to Jesus.
Right. And in Gaza, I think we talked about in Gaza, like over 40 people had a dream of Jesus and they gave their lives to the Lord. And so there's something happening, and I love that there's something that's happening with God directly,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's no celebrity pastor, celebrity ministry, right? It's not Stephen Furtick out there like tapping onto these people, or Judah Smith sending Justin Bieber or whatever, right? It's something that's happening with on the local level, right? Or on the personal level, right? Because I don't think Russell Brand has any connections to like the local church or whatever. Maybe, and I might be wrong because I don't know Russell Brand, right?
Right.
But it's something that is directly connected to God and not through any person or platform. Right. So I love that. And then, so with that being said, what's his name? 6ix9ine.
Tekashi 6ix9ine, yeah.
Tekashi 6ix9ine. I go back. I've seen all these things, right? And I go back that video that we talked about one time, where he's like almost in tears, wanting to go back to church, but thinking that no church would want him to walk in their doors because of tattoos on his face and all these superficial, meaningless things, right? And then on the, you take that and you put him side by side with everything that's happening now. Like we can pray, like 6ix9ine, whatever his real name is, like, there's room at the cross for you, right? Same Jesus that died for these guys, he died for you too, man.
Well, what's interesting with him though, and I think really with a lot of these folks, right? Because it seems like a lot of times, like these folks, right? Especially if they come from like the Latin community or the Black community, like they have a connection to
they
church.
Have a church. Yeah.
Right. Whether it's because they went with their grandmother when they were little kids, whatever it is, but they have a connection. So, what's interesting is like the Tekashi 6ix9ine video, it's like he knows the answer, but it's like he's still fighting, right? That flesh, right?
But you can also tell that his
I mean, there's
his point of view is steeped in legalism and legalistic thinking, right? And then being a Latino, he most likely went to a legalistic church as a kid growing up, where they told him tattoos are sinful.
And if he grew up in New York, it was probably Pentecostal.
No, but it 100% was, because he was singing the coritos, remember? In the video. So, I mean, it's sad. Like every time I think about that video, when I saw it before, and when I think about it now, like my heart breaks, because no face tattoos or anything. But I mean, and you know this because we've talked about this, and you've helped me heal in a lot of these places. But like, I can relate to what he was saying,
right?
Even though I don't have tattoos on my face or whatever, because that was what he held on to. I didn't have tattoos on. I don't have any tattoos, but like I can still sympathize with what he said, because I was there too.
Right. Because funny story, like I think it was when we went and did when we did the conference at the church you grew up in, and you were gonna preach, and they were like, "You gotta wear a tie. Where's your tie?" And like that just freaking triggered you, right?
Oh, the beard. It was the beard. The beard.
It was the beard. That's what it was. It was the beard.
I had a shorter beard than I do now. Shorter beard than I do now. It was basically buzz. Oh no, you're gonna preach with that beard?
You're gonna preach with that beard? No te vas a afeitar. You're not gonna shave?
Yo, and I got so mad I dry shaved and I was bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And then remember, because that's what happened. Then I got to church and I had on jeans, a dress shirt, and a blazer. And the pastor's wife was like, look, Jay's in a dress shirt and a blazer. And then the pastor says, yeah, but his shirt's untucked and he's not wearing a tie.
He's not wearing a tie.
I was like,
I can't win.
The pastor's wife was like, I'm sorry, Jay. I recognize at least, shirt and blazer, but sometimes legalism just doesn't go away.
Yeah, but let's be real though, because it could very easily have been the other way around. The pastor could have been like, "Oh, look, he's wearing a nice dress shirt and a blazer," and she would have been like, "Ah, but where's his tie?" They're interchangeable. It's interchangeable.
Yeah, 100%. But and to be honest, it actually surprised me that it was like the opposite.
Right.
That she was the advocate, and he was like, wait a minute. Because all growing up, it was the other way around.
Right. No, but that was so funny. I had thought about that till just now. Jay, guys,
Magda brings it up all the time.
Jay was like, we didn't even know what triggered was at that time. Like that wasn't a word in our vocabulary. But he was triggered. He was like, what? He's like,
I was 100% triggered. The trauma was real. Trauma was real. And I can remember I came out pissed off and bleeding.
I was so mad. Built pieces of toilet paper to try to stop.
Magda grabbed me and was cleaning me up. I was like, leave me alone. I want them to see. Anyway, and
that's the kind of trauma Tekashi 6ix9ine got.
Like on the Spanish side, it's like Don Omar, who grew up in the church, was a youth pastor. We seen in Janden, who were in his youth group, right? There's still a lot of them that are out there that came up in the church, right? And you're right. It's like that in ethnic churches, let's say, right? In Black and Spanish churches. But I love it. I love seeing it. Right? I'm here for it. The revival, like the spiritual and awakening, almost you can say,
right?
In within celebrities and people of influence that are not. And again, my favorite part, it's no particular person or ministry with a high profile. It's either a reconnect with the God that they grew up with, or just God himself interceding and making himself known.
Right. So, and it's coming out, right? It's not coming out because they got walked out on stage, like you keep saying, right? It was like they got walked out on a stage by, Mega Pastor Y, right? And then it's like, oh, guys, everybody's like, ooh, oh yeah. Nah, this is like, hey, I'm retiring from music. I'm following Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And of course,
like when I met Brian Ortega at Fearless, right? It wasn't like, oh, Jay, you have to come and meet. Look who's in my church. Like, nothing. Like it was just like, oh yeah, that's Brian. It's like, that's Brian.
Right.
Like, I only know that it's him because I recognize his face. Like, and then there's 3 people at Fearless Church. There was this other guy who was a skateboarder, super famous. I saw him on that Lego Builders show. I'm watching it with Bean, and he was on the show. Was it Lego? It was Hot Wheels. It was Hot Wheels. It was like a real life Hot Wheels. Like they would bring celebrities in. Oh yeah, I remember Hot Wheels. I played. My dream car is this, and then people would like try to build like a real life Hot Wheels car, right?
Okay.
I saw this skateboarder that actually, when we broke out. So when I went to Fearless, it was discipleship night. So like they do worship, and then they break out in pockets for one-on-one or like small group. Yeah, that's like small group Bible study. So that the skateboarding guy, I don't remember his name. He was a part of our group, right? And then when Jeremy was walking me around the sanctuary, the church, right? It's like a warehouse. So he opens this wall, because it's a wall. And on the other side was the professor from And One. Like he wanted to introduce me to him since I was a fan, because, back in the day, the professor was everywhere. And he played in New York. I've watched him play in New York in the cages. So I was like, yo, the professor is here. I can meet him. Can I take a picture with him? Like, yo, this is dope. But he was filming a video. So
can he break my ankles? Can he break my ankles? That'd be so cool.
Can he sign my sneakers? Oh wait, I don't wear &1 sneakers. Anyway,
Run to Walmart. They sell them there now.
that's word, right? But he was recording a video, so like it was just one of these. But it wasn't. Jeremy wasn't like parading them around like celebrities and like popping a collar per se, because oh, look at these people in my church, right? No, it was like, it was, this is Brian, right? This is whatever this skateboard guy's name is. I'll remember
This
it.
is a professional skateboard guy.
And then he didn't even introduce the skateboard guy. He introduced himself when we separated in our group to do Bible study and to talk. And the professor was because I knew him as the professor. I don't know what his real name is, right? But he wasn't flexing. He wasn't flexing. It was just, these people come to my church.
Right.
First basis. This is this guy. First name. The professor, because when he walked in, he wanted to show me the warehouse space. He didn't know that the professor was there. So I was like, it was me. I was like, I was fangirling a little. I was like, is that the professor? It's like, yo, that's the professor. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. You're from New York. Yeah, that's the professor. So it was like one of those things. So, and I love it. I love it because I think, and you and I talk about this a lot. That is how it needs to be.
Right.
How it needs to be, because we need to see them and interact with them as God sees them and interacts with them. Right? Jesus doesn't call in these celebrities and then parades them around as celebrities. Right? He calls them into his own as his children. Right? As his children, and loves them as his children. And so, because of that, like us, they are also heirs and co-heirs with Christ. And so, like, if you're a fan, then that's dope. Like when I went, I saw the professor. Oh man, that's dope. Like if I could have taken a picture with him, or whatever, it was fine. But it's not continue to put them on a pedestal and parade them around and exploit them, because then they see a part of you that they equate with Jesus that has nothing to do with Jesus.
Right.
End up leaving again. Hurt again by the church and leaving again, right? So yeah, I'm all for this silent revival. And these people of influence that need a direct connect with God.
Right,
So,
because then you have, because then you even have like D1, right, who's making a lot of noise in hip hop right now by calling hip hop out, right, calling its content out, and having dudes that are older than us acting like a bunch of numbskulls, threatening and making overt and not so overt and and threats and stuff. But that's a dude that he's getting access to bring light into a dark part of the culture, right?
Yeah.
Because, and it's funny because I when growing up, we don't realize, at least I can say it for myself, a lot of times when I listen, like I'll be like, oh, I want to listen to some 90s hip hop, and I'll start playing it. I can't listen for long.
Right.
Because it's like, and so it's like,
we need
now. Right, not even that. I just go back to like the Christian stuff, right? Or the salsa, right? Or whatever it is. Because you're now realizing as we mature, like, holy cow, like the stuff that we were, it's funny because the stuff we were feeding into our heads. I mean, I remember I was Big Pun was like, I mean, who wasn't Puerto Rican and a huge Big Pun fan, right? Because that dude, like, I mean, I listened to his album, his first one, Capital Punishment. Dude, I listened to that thing on repeat. Like that, like I've pulled up songs on Spotify and I've just listened like the first verse and the chorus, right? And I can't go any further than that because it's just because it's kind of like, well, it's too much.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But but dude, I used to listen to where I had a moment of clarity, one point where I was like, yo, like I could literally feel it affecting my spirit. Right? We all know I'm a big mouth. I like to talk a lot of baba, right? But I'm harmless, as harmless can be. But dude, I would listen to that stuff. I'll be walking out ready to fight anyone and everyone. Like it, like it's just like it. For the Pentecostal Jay to understand, the spirit of aggression was just all over me.
It's like that because this weekend we dropped the kids off Saturday, and then we had a little breakfast date, Magda and I. When you come down here, we gotta take to this New York diner up in
Oh, we're gonna go on a breakfast date? How sweet.
Yeah, I mean we eat breakfast.
Uh,
But anyway,
it'll be on a date.
But when we were driving up there, something I just wanted to throw on. That's the thing. I threw on 90s dance hall, right? So like reggae music, dance hall, and it was just cool because it's about dancing and whatever, the girls and parties, whatever was cool. Then, I threw on 90s hip hop, and the first song that comes on was the Rough Riders anthem. Stop, drop,
right.
Yo, we're like, Magda knows that one, so we're banging, like we're head banging, and we're like, yeah. And then after a while, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's take this off, right? Like, hey, let's take this off, right? We put on like some worship music, like all right, because like you can feel it, right? Like you can, like your skin starts feeling 3 sizes too small, and like yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's called maturity, I think.
Or it's called viejones.
Yeah. I'm gonna say we're finally maturing in our old age.
No.
So speaking of maturing in old age, Jay is gonna be leading what's it called? A session, a breakout.
Right?
A breakout. So coming up in
March 23rd.
Coming up in wow, that's like a couple of weeks away. Coming up in March, Jay is going to be going to a Foursquare regional meeting with all the different pastors of Foursquare in the state of Florida.
Yes.
And they originally, this is great, right? Originally asked Jay, hey, do you want to do a breakout? He said, no, I'll be the MC, right? Because that's easy. Me and Jay, right? You could give us a mic. We could show up, not know what's going on, and be like, here's a mic, be an MC, and we're on the stage. Hey, everybody. And we're just having a good time. So that's what Jay was going to do. He's like, hola todo el mundo.
Yeah, first, to do anything. I was there to help with the organization, the logistics. Right. Like, that's it. That's enough. But apparently not. God had a
no. So he goes from not doing nothing to being the MC to now actually leading a breakout session where.
Yeah, you know what's scary? I
what?
still know where it's gonna be. So I don't know if it's gonna be like a breakout, like on another side of the building or somewhere in the building, or if it's gonna be like a main session breakout in front of everybody. Like I don't.
Right.
Like they haven't told me yet.
Yeah, like when we go to camp and you're like, the guy preaches and it's like, okay, Bob, we're gonna have our breakout, 15-minute break. Everybody back in here for breakout number 1. It's like, what? Right. It might be. That's what I'm hoping it is.
You suck for that.
You know what? Lord, make it happen. Amen. I'm praying it into existence.
It will be manifested.
No, I'm a J-affested. Happens to Jay.
John come after you.
That's fine. He can join us and we'll have that conversation. So he's gonna lead a breakout, and it's gonna be on shepherding the sheeps. The sheeps. What you talking about, Jay? What you talking about, Jay?
What you talking about?
What you talking about, Jay?
Talking about Jay.
What you talking about, Jay?
Like if you see, and there's my breakout. I'm about to break out.
But you
Been paying attention to us, you right, and you've been listening or watching watching. You know that a couple of weeks ago we had this episode titled "Burn the Stages," right? And I think that I'm about to get into things that I haven't even shared with you, Joaquin. But it's all tight, right? I think that like Joaquin and I have been sending each other articles that speak on how Gen X and Gen Zers are it's so funny, contradicting tales. So there are some articles that say, oh, Gen Z and Gen X are the most unreligious and unchurched group. They're the nuns and whatever, NONES.
we were the first nuns, though.
But we've also been finding articles that say that Gen Z and Gen X, not Gen X, sorry, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, right, are
once again we're forgotten.
Yeah, because we're forgotten. Are looking for or returning to the ancient ways, right? Are searching for churches that are a bit more liturgical, that teach more, that do more. Less smoke machines, less lights, solid biblical teaching, liturgies,
serving the community.
Yeah, churches that are not speakers of the word only, but also doers of the word, right? They are seeking out these things. And I think a couple of weeks ago, Joaquin, I don't know if I sent it to you, or you sent it to me. It was this big thing, how like groups of Gen Z and Gen Alpha are like going to these churches in droves, smaller churches, no more mega churches, right? Where they can make more of an impact. And before I get into what I'm going to say, let me share. So Tuesday nights before we do the podcast, Legacy Church, we go to this park in downtown St. Pete and we do outreach work. You remember, you guys came with us one night where we set up tables and we give out, a team member gives a gospel message to everyone that's there. Mm-hmm. And we pray for people. 2 people came to Christ tonight. Right? 2 people came to Christ tonight. We set up tables, coffee, sandwiches, clothes, and like hygiene products, and then also water and prayer. We have a sign set up on the side. If you want prayer, come to the sign, and any one of us, if we see somebody standing by that sign, we go. This guy asked for a miracle. So Michael, the refugee, went to pray for him, and he turned around and he was like, hey, Pastor Jay, I need a miracle. So I'm going to need more than just one guy praying for me. I was like, dude, you're okay. You got more than one guy. You got Mike and you got Jesus. You're good. Now, I'm going to need you too. I'm going to need you to come too. Right? It was one of those things. And he also asked to come. He asked me if I would pick him up and take him to church with me because he wanted to come to my church and drop him off. And I was like, 100% yes. 100%. I will pick you up. I'll take you to lunch and I'll drop you off. This is the guy that is super connected to us. Okay. He accepted the Lord the first Sunday that we went there, and we've been speaking to him ever since. Like, this is the guy that every Tuesday I leave, Bean tells me, hey, Papi, if you see Mr. Ricky, let him know that I said hi and that I'm praying for him, right? It's like, it's one of those things. So, but today, tonight, so a couple weeks ago, remember, I don't know if I told you and I shared it on the podcast, but I know that I told you that somebody reached out through the website and had a meeting and asked to have a meeting with me. And
Right.
so I'm at a coffee shop, right? So he's been coming to the Tuesday night things, right? He loves it. He sits there and he shares and he offers, hey, you want prayer? You want this? Or he's like, you want prayer, right? Pastor Jay, this guy was prayer, right? Like, but he's brand spanking new, right? But tonight he brought his cousin who's visiting, right? Also, both of them, 20 somethings. He brought his cousin who was visiting from Massachusetts, visiting for 2 weeks. Yo, you never would have thought that this was her first time doing this. She asked, okay, where can I help? And I was like, just sit right there. And so this other organization came in with these, it was like a bag lunch. So it had a sandwich, it had water, it had chips, it had gummy fruit, whatever. We put a life book Bible with our number and whatever, and all this stuff, and he was there, and she was there with them. And then when that part was done, right, because everybody just ate, and they came up for seconds and thirds and whatever, right? We took out like the clothes, the socks, and all that, and she, without hesitation, gave the rest of the bag foods to her cousin and came next to me and started handing out socks. And what do you need? What do you need? And then at the end, when we prayed for 2 people to come to Jesus, I asked her to come with, because you know how I am when one of them was a female. So you know how I am with the females. Hey, can I get a female on the team to come with, since Magda didn't come with us tonight? Bro, and I just wanted her to stand there. Like, just to stand there with me. Because my eyes are going to be closed. I need you to just stand there with me as I pray for them. Yo, God is so amazing. She came, she stood next to her, put her hand on her shoulder, raised her other hand, and started praying. And I'm like, who is this girl?
Right.
And then afterwards, when I thanked her, like, thank you for showing up. Thank you for helping and being so hands-on. Like, I love the enthusiasm. She was like, thank you. Thank you that I came down here just to be with my cousin, but he told me that he was going to come and help his church. But like, the fact that you guys are actually doing something, thank you for letting me like be a part of this and help give out food and help the people. Like, this is amazing, right? And that's what we're looking for. So I think that along with the whole celebrity and influential culture, influential people that are coming to the Lord, I think that we are also seeing this silent revival in churches that are less interested in platforms and celebrity status, right? And more interested in moving in kingdom movement, right? In kingdom first, and discipleship, like following the way of Jesus and doing things as disciples, as Jesus would do. Send them out 2 by 2. All those things that are in actual Bible, not in culture, right? That there's this slow, quiet revival in these things with this generation that people keep saying are the lost generation. They're the most unchurched generation. They're not. Right. They're just not posting about it, right? Not bragging about it. And the pastors that are discipling them don't have platforms. They don't have right? They have these.
Well, it's like the Asbury revival, right? For several weeks.
Right.
The biggest thing, well, obviously, all these kids, right? College kids getting together, worshiping God. But as far as how me and Jay as we look at things, right? One of the biggest things was what? They kept it with like a piano and a guitar. That was it. And you had like quotation marks, big name people show up, and they were like, "Oh, hey, we'll preach. If you want us to preach, we'll preach." And they were like, "Nah, we're good.
Yeah.
We good. Like, we thank you for coming and yeah, more than participate with us, and we love it. We're glad that you're here, but yeah, we don't need any big time." They didn't say it this way, but this is what they were saying, right? We don't need any big time.
And then I know that there were other people, like John Tyson went and he didn't let anybody know. He just went right up to the balcony
Right.
and quietly sat there, receiving and seeing and just being a part of it. So all that to say this, right? All that to say this. Um, in the same episode where we talked about burning the stages and rebuilding the pulpits, I also talked about, or briefly mentioned, because we focus more on the stage versus pulpit, right? And I know those are two different things, but if you know the culture, the church culture, then you know what we were saying. But there's also this thing that's burning within me about teaching pastors to reclaim the title of shepherd,
Right.
reclaiming the title of shepherd. All the Christian leaders, all the biblical leaders were called shepherds. Like Jesus is called the good shepherd, and we are supposed to be his under shepherds, tending to the flock, tending to the church, the people, not trying to build a platform for ourselves so that we become Christian famous. That's not
Right.
that's gospel. That's not why Jesus died on the cross and rose again, so that his people, his pastors or his shepherds could become celebrity pastors. You never hear the term celebrity shepherd because it doesn't match. It
Right.
doesn't. The shepherds tend to the flock. They tend to the sheep. They smell like the sheep, right? I've in my studies and my research for this breakout, I have learned that you can have one shepherd back in the day, because now shepherding is different, it's more technology. But back in the day, um, the shepherd had to spend so much time with the sheep that when Jesus says that my sheep hear my voice and they know me, it's because of the amount of time that the shepherd spent with the sheep. That if other shepherds came in to their and walked into the fold where and the sheep weren't theirs, and they try to call them and try to make sounds to make sheep that aren't theirs follow them, the sheep won't move. They will they won't even acknowledge the other
Right.
shepherd. But their shepherd makes a noise or a sound that they're familiar with. It doesn't matter how many hundreds that there are, they hear their shepherd's voice or the sound that they're familiar with from their shepherd. They will stop what they're doing and they will walk away with their shepherd, because
Right.
the sheep know their shepherd's voice.
Right.
And I think that that Western culture, and with the influence of social media and all that, we a lot of pastors have lost their way, right? Have lost their way. And I'm not blaming the celebrity pastors, right? Because celebrity pastors hmm, celebrity pastors don't become celebrities because they push themselves to that. Celebrity pastors become celebrities because their church um, puts them up on that platform and extols them and exalts them, and then they take advantage of that and they blow up and they expand, and then all this stuff happens, right? I think that a lot of pastors, and then there are other pastors who are planting churches, who have smaller churches, who either envy these pastors and they want like an elevation, they want a Hillsong, so they do all of these things that are external, and then they forget about their flock. They forget that they're called to be shepherds, right? Even pastors is another word for shepherds. Like if in Spanish, it's pastor. A pastor is a shepherd, right?
Right.
It's not a speaker or a preacher, right? And the fivefold ministries: apostle, pastors, or shepherds, right? Evangelists, teachers, um, pastors and shepherds, right? So that's the thing, and I think we're coming into a time where we have all of these people that are looking for pastors that are doer of the word and not hearers only, and because of that, they need shepherds. They don't need um, leaders, because
Right.
there's been there's this thing where pastors are either celebrity pastors or they're just leaders. You have to be great leaders and good leaders. Right? Let's and And I know I have a lot of friends that are pastors that use this word a lot, right? And it irks me, like it hits me sideways. Like we're not called to lead lead the flock, right? There's only one person that leads the flock, and that's Jesus, right? So John 10:11 says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep, right? Matthew 9:36 says that when Jesus saw the crowds, he felt compassion for them because they were distressed and dejected like sheep without a shepherd. Like nowhere does it say celebrity pastor. Nowhere does it say leader. It's like sheep without a shepherd. Jesus says that he is the good shepherd. When Jesus restored Peter in John 21, right? It says, when they had eaten breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, Peter said to him, you know that I love you. Feed my lambs, right? That's what Jesus told him. It was 3 times. Feed my lambs. Tend to the sheep, right? Take care of my flock, right? And it was not about, hey, be like the best, loudest, most culturally relevant preacher, all right? The best, loudest, most fashion forward pastor, right? Wear
Right.
the modern clothes and the sneakers and always be fly with your fashion. It's like, no, be a stinky, nasty, rejected, always on the outskirts of town, right? Looked down upon, because shepherds were looked down upon as the lowest of the low, right under the tax collector, right?
Right.
Right? Like be that guy, right? Be the person that smells like sheep and it is rejected by everybody, that has to be on the outside, not the outside of the house, the outside of the city. Get as far away from the town as you possibly can because you and your sheep smell, but be the ones that God chooses to announce by the heavenly host the birth of Jesus Christ.
Right.
Right? Like you gotta see that disparity, right? Not only was Jesus born in a manger, right? But then the people that God chose to announce it to first by not just one angel, the heavenly hosts, Luke says, the heavenly hosts were the shepherds out in the field,
Right.
right? The stinky rejected people out in the field, right? But if you follow the story of the Israelites, right, even from the moment when they came to Egypt, when Joseph brought them into Egypt, and before that, Jacob out there tending the flock and all that, like they were always shepherds. Right? The people of God were always shepherds. And I think that we have now, pastors now have either they weren't taught, right? Because a lot of pastors now are young, or they just lost sight of the fact that they are to be shepherds tending
Right.
flock. Right? And so because of social media and because of comparison and envy, a lot of these pastors burn out. Right? They burn out. They quit. They commit suicide. Lately, there have been a lot of pastors and
Right.
missionaries that have committed suicide, or they
They become complainers.
they become complainers, or
Right.
they fall to some moral failure, right? Because of there are a few things that are involved in that, right? There's no accountability, there's no one watching, but then there's also this thing of I need to be this other thing when God called you to just be a shepherd. Be a shepherd. Peter, do you love me more than these? Feed my sheep. Tend to the flock. Take care of my sheep. Right? So
Right.
like there needs to be a return to shepherds, a return to shepherding, right? A return to, you know, Jay, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, I do. Then Jay, be my shepherd, be my under shepherd, and take care of my sheep, take care of my flock. Right? When I was out there today, so funny. When I was out there today, with everybody, like I'm not like I think one of the things that surprised this girl that came to help, well, to hang with a cousin and then just threw us up into helping was the fact that I was there, gloves on, giving people sandwiches, giving people water, and doing all the things, and then joking with the people, and yeah, fist bumping them and talking to them, and they were all homeless and whatever. And I was like, and then when her cousin turned around, it's like, no, that's the pastor, right? Like that's the
Right.
pastor. The refugee was out there and he was preaching and he was praying for everybody. Because again, as a shepherd that is trying to take care of the sheep, right? I am pouring pouring into him and teaching him how to step in fully into what I see God has placed him. God has
Right.
placed in, right? So when the cousin was like, oh no, 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 that's the pastor. The guy standing right next to you in the trenches, getting dirty and doing all the things. That's the pastor, right? Because I personally, and you know this, King, because we've done a lot of ministry together, right? I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. And I would not want to ask, now as a pastor, I would not want to ask any of my leaders to do something that I wouldn't do myself,
Right.
right? Jesus did not send his disciples out two by two until after they saw in him what he wanted them to do and what he called them out to do. Right? It wasn't like, hey, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. Oh my God, awesome. All right, go be fishers of men. No, like
Right.
he walked and he talked with them. That's what being a disciple is, an apprentice, a follower of Jesus. That's why before we were being insulted and called Christians, we were known like people who were followers of Jesus were known as followers of the way because Jesus said he was the way, the truth, and the life. And as an insult, they started calling them Christians, right? And I think we need to go back to to rejecting Christians just a little bit, right? Yeah, personally, I'm a Christian, whatever, because of Christ, but embracing as embracing followers of the way, right? And become followers of Jesus again. And I think that pastors need to reject the pastor theme because of all of the connotations and things and go back to practicing the humility of being a shepherd and an under shepherd of Jesus,
Right.
right? Like we're all followers. Like we're all disciples of Jesus. We're all followers of Jesus, right? The difference between me and one of my leaders or one of the church members is that although I am also a follower of Jesus along with you, but the call on me is as an under shepherd to the good shepherd. Right? And if we see that, then we can stop trying to compare ourselves to other pastors. We can stop seeking a platform because we are the under shepherds to the good shepherd. And there is no greater honor than that, which is why the Bible says that like there's that we will be accountable for even more, right? At a higher level, will Jesus hold us accountable than someone who's not a shepherd, right? Because we are the under shepherds of Jesus. So I think that if we as pastors can recognize Jesus is the good shepherd, right? And the shepherd lays down his life for the sheep, then as an under shepherd, then we too need to practice the ways of Jesus to lay down our lives for the sheep as Jesus would. And how do we lay down our lives for the sheep? I'm not talking about like, die for the sheep unless something happens that calls for that. But I mean, we lay down our lives for our sheep by humbly teaching them how to be followers of Jesus as we are. John 3:30, right? I must decrease so that he can increase. We do
Right.
that daily, die to ourselves daily, and then show them how that's done as humble shepherds and not people seeking platforms or seeking mega churches or even just full churches and presence. Let's not seek to be the presence. Let us seek to bring the presence, to have the presence of God like in us and around us so that people can be called, right? People can be called to us because of the weight of the presence of God in all that we do because again, I'm going to keep saying it because we're under shepherds to the good shepherd rather than, oh, hey, I've got like, I've got 1 million followers and all these sponsorships. Nah, miss me with all that. Dismissing all that. Get back into the fold.
Right.
Get into the go back outside and get dirty with the sheep. Get stinky, get nasty, get dirty with the sheep. Speak to them so they can know your voice, and your voice should sound like Jesus's voice, right? Your words should sound like Jesus's words, because we are followers of Jesus, right? We are imitators of Jesus. So if you're looking to step into being a pastor, or planting a church or whatever, right? I'm hoping that you hear my heart in what I'm saying, and bring things back to basics, right? I haven't said this in a long time on the show, but we have to go back to making the main thing the main thing. And the main thing, if you're looking to plant a church or be a pastor, be sent, if you're someone who's listening to this right now and you have been sent out by your church to plant or to take over or transition a church, right? I hope you hear me and hear my heart in this, and you know, seek what it is, and study and pray on what it means to be an under shepherd to the good shepherd,
Yeah.
right? And have some longevity in what God has called you to be, because not everyone is called to be a pastor, and to be a pastor, to lead a community of followers, is a heavy and sometimes lonely burden, right? A lot of times the shepherds are out there by themselves, just them and the sheep, just them and the sheep, just, that's it. And they gotta tend to the sheep, and they gotta protect the sheep from the wolves and the snakes and all the things, right? You know, David was a shepherd, and he fought both the lion and the bear, as he said, his bare hands, right? So imagine. So John 20:21, 15 through 17 is when Jesus restores Peter, and calls him, to tend to a sheep, to feed a sheep, take care of the flock. That is what I am praying for all of you who feel called to this, that we can restore the identity of the shepherd, right? And release, right, which is biblical, and reject the identity of the celebrity pastor or the platform pastor, which is the current culture, right? We don't live for the culture. We live for the kingdom. And I'm done. That's it. I'm good.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the thing, especially for young guys, because right, this younger generation definitely is much more plugged into the social media stuff, and they view success and fame through the lens of likes and followers,
Right.
and it's and it's trying to flip that as shepherds, right? Yes, shepherds went out, but then shepherds had under shepherds, right? As the flock grows, you have to have others with you so there is a network. And so I would just say, as a shepherd, you're not completely alone, right? You have other shepherds that you can connect with, so that sometimes, right, you need to get together with other shepherds to protect the sheep, other shepherds to continue the work.
Yeah.
And so
Say that because, again, in all my research, I'm studying what the Bible says about, shepherds and shepherding, but then I'm also studying like the culture of
shepherds.
and shepherding in biblical times, not in modern times, because modern times has a lot of technology. The sheep have chips and all that stuff. If they get lost, they pull up the GPS, there it is. Whereas before, that's why the whole story of he leaves the 99 for the one, right? Because that's how it had to be done before. Look around, do your calls, whatever it is, right? To so that the sheep could hear you and respond and bray. But it was very common back in the day for multiple shepherds to get together and get their sheep together and help each other and work with each other, right? So that they're not alone. And that's the other thing. I'm glad you brought that up. And that's the other thing. A lot of pastors are burnt out because they feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
But then a lot of them are alone because they don't want to connect with other shepherds and connect with other flocks. Like, this is kingdom, baby. Like, this isn't mine. This isn't yours. These people that go to your church, they're not mine. They're not yours. Right?
Right.
We all belong to Jesus. We are all a part of the kingdom of God. Right? So yeah, 100%. You're right. Kino.
So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's not much left to say. I don't want to add anything to it because, I think Jay said it right.
I'm gonna add one thing. And it's what I was just telling you. I'm gonna make it. You heard it here first. March 23rd is my breakout. Is when I'll be giving like the fullness of this. And on wearelegacy.com on March 24th, which is a Sunday, I will have a link with a downloadable PDF that will have all of my notes and all of my Bible verses and everything that I'm putting together for the breakout. I'm going to have it on wearelegacy.com. It'll probably be wearelegacy.com/shepherds. Once it's up, I'll mention it again on the podcast, and we'll put up the link. So that if you're interested, you can download it, and that's yours. That's a giveaway. That's a free thing for you to get within you and share it as much as you like. Right? Let's get back. Let's burn the stages, rebuild the pulpits, and restore the identity of the shepherd in the church.
Yeah, let's keep. I think, we all, you've always said, right? We've always said, right? Keep the main thing the main thing. And I think maybe we need to come up with another one, right? Like, keep it local, yokel. I don't know. It's a work in progress. But, right, the idea of let's go back to, let's keep it local, right? That's the focal point. And then let God take care of, right, the global, right? And how he sends, right? Because if the local is healthy, then the missionaries and the pastors will come out of that.
Right.
They don't come out of just social media or
the bigger
or whatever.
That's a funny thing about the churches, right? As a pastor, the bigger your church is and the more famous your church is, the more you focus on keeping things inside, keeping people inside rather than sending them out into the world. Right? That's that. It's a catch-22. You want to get famous, so you have all these people come to your church. You want to keep them in, right?
Right.
Rather than doing what we were called to do, which is go out, send them out, right?
Get big. You want to get big so you can launch them out. Right. When you plant a garden, was that?
Not launch them in, because then you're a burnt out leader of burnt out leaders.
Right. So it's like, like gardening, right? You don't, if you grow tomatoes, you want to grow a lot of tomatoes to feed your family and to be able to give away, right? Or to sell, right? If you're trying to, make a little extra money. So you want your garden to overproduce, right? Or to produce abundantly so that you feed the family. But you can also take the extra and feed others or sell it, right? So that you can support your family. But either way, you need the abundance, and that abundance needs to go out. And I think as a church, we always think of abundance for our pockets. It's abundance to keep it in. Maybe keep it local. Let's grow abundantly so that we can spread out.
Yeah.
Not stay in. So that's it. That's all I got. Thanks for joining us. Be on the lookout, and we'll remind you of the PDF once it comes out. So if you're interested, you can download it. And we're gonna keep it moving. Stuff is going on, crazy things are going on, so we'll keep talking about those crazy things. So until next week. your most humblest of apostles, signing off with Pastor Reverend Sapofino, Rebel Leader, Pastor, Bishop, Reverendo, and Dime Store, Mark Anthony, Jay. See y'all next. See y'all next week. Peace.
Thanks for listening. Remember to go to theoverflowpodcast.com to subscribe to the podcast on all streaming platforms and catch up on all the links of the week. And don't forget to follow our playlist on Spotify.